have Heralds of Apocalypse ninstar, and they do have their logo spinning around there. So that's pretty awesome to see. And you know what? It actually does look so good.
Yeah,
Like
it does.
like when you don't have like the stupid ones, which are like people putting pictures of people along with stupid faces or whatever, and you've actually got team logos. It actually looks so great. And I just don't think I've actually seen one with a team logo on until like just yesterday or so. So really, actually nice to see, and I actually really like that.
We're actually in a game heart, so the in-game overlay thing, I just had to take that off just that. I just
Oh, okay.
confirmed you on that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just that it's not gonna be a Reaper, or maybe a Reaper. Is it going? Yeah, definitely. So it's gonna be a simple Reaper expand. I'm gonna say here, jump right on.
Yep.
So far, I'm just gonna say probably this is gonna be just macro at the moment. Really, in the current meta game, there's not much all in or billing busting going on right now at the moment. It just seems to be players are trying to work out if the
Yeah,
top player's gone Mac or not.
yeah. Honestly, I mean, busts have just kind of completely gone downhill, and we used to see them loads, but now we see them a lot less. I can't help but feel that some of it's because we do see more mech play, because we do see more tank openings. We do see more openings with the banshees, especially. In fact, that's the major factor, which does kind of shut down the bus really easily because you can see them coming a lot more easily. You can stop them a lot more easily with the banshees. You can then move across the map and counter attack. And if you can counter attack, you can basically negate any damage that the Zerg does with an attack. So, anyways, we'll see exactly what happens as we do see this first Reaper coming out. I just have to ask you, if you press Control Shift F while holding the units, is it broken for you? Like,
Yeah.
does it not do
No, it
anything?
doesn't follow.
Because usually it's meant to, right?
Yeah, it's meant to. Even if we hit Control F, it's meant to follow. It's just not.
If
to at the
Control
moment.
F, Control F centers on it, and then Control Shift F like follows it, and like
Yeah.
continues to move along it. But it's not working for me right now, and I don't know if it was just me
No.
or if that makes me feel a lot better because it's actually been driving me crazy trying to observe because Control Shift F is like my best friend.
Yeah. And that's
So,
what I'm saying at the moment. My observance kind of all wobbly all over the place, but we're good there.
yeah,
So this
so,
Reaper's going to come in. We're going to see if it's going to get a drone here. I don't think we'll probably get one. Mego should be decent enough. But usually if you do spend that, if you spend like build one drone at the wrong time, you lose one. He does going to lose one drone and then 4 things are going to come out. He's just going to successfully put in a spore crawler and save that drone at that point in time. He did just research speed there, got 100 gas. Speed is currently on the way. So this Reaper will only do a decent little bit of harassment now until this queen is out, which pops out just as I said that there. You make it one last drone. If this doesn't get to the gas laser fast enough, that's going to be saved. And I think this is right now going to be the end of the Reaper harassment.
yeah, I mean this Reaper can actually still come in and do a little bit of damage. Most importantly, he wants to see if any gas starts mining again soon. But yeah, in general, you're right. What you might try and do is he could dive for that drone, which has just come out from being a spore crawler. But I don't think he will, and he actually gets deflected from the side here as well. So, Wanty not able to achieve too much here. He's not going to be too bothered. I mean, he's already achieved, what he would expect to achieve from the Reaper Expand. And now he's able to go into very happily whatever he wants to, and that's going to be a third command center very quickly here. Hellions coming up, a tech lab coming down, a very standard play, and just standard what's going to probably be bio because
Yeah.
without a Banshee opening, which it's not going to be because you have the gas up already and you can go in Banshee before third base. Without Banshee opening, you're just not going to see mech because it really does rely on the heavy Banshee play to hold off so many of the timings against it. So.
Yeah. Along with that, it's very important for a player going Mac to stop that for base from going up. That's why you will see usually if a player is looking just going random Hellion Banshee into bio play, you will see that he won't get cloak with it most of the time. But a Mac player will always get cloak just to make sure he can definitely get that for base killed.
Yeah. Almost definitely. I mean, sometimes very rarely, if it gets scouted, they'll cancel it.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the cost of cloak nowadays, it's almost as if there's no real reason to get
Cancel
cloak. To get cloak. Of course, there's reason to get cloak. There's no reason to cancel it because it's so cheap. It's always going to give you utility. It forces overseers, and I mean, even if you just get one queen because of the cloak, it's actually probably worthwhile. So.
Yeah.
Third base finishes up here, 2 barracks coming down, and there is that second gas coming up for Wanty as well. So he's just nice and perfectly timed on his gas timings at least. Nothing we wouldn't expect, and he's just going to continue harassing here. He does actually have these Hellions moving around, and he does get deflected from the front, but at the moment we see that third base coming up as well. So ninstar, just in a nice standard position, you know, nothing too scary now, too ridiculous. And Wanty, he knows about the third base as well, so he knows exactly what's up here. This overboard coming in to scout, gets a great scout off, sees everything, and in fact a tank coming out for Wanty, so this is really interesting. Despite seeing the third base, he's going for a really early tank still, and this might be a sign that he just wants to play a kind of a marine tank style compared to a bio.
This is something I actually think we discussed. Marine tanks, sorry, is starting to become a lot more popular. For the simple reason of, since the Widowmain got nerfed, now they didn't get nerfed to the point where they don't work anymore. Believe me, they work, and the Zerg on Lanner, they work, but they don't work as efficient that they could do. But siege tanks, I still believe, are a lot more valuable in the sense of you're trying to take bases, but for mobility, especially once you're on siege, I definitely think there's that point in time against a Zerg player, it's very, very dangerous. But I definitely think for taking bases, especially for like the high ground vision he's going to have here, I think that's a great idea.
You know, the one problem with the tanks is the fact that mutas nowadays are so much better than they used to be the last time you saw Marine tank play being viable.
Yeah.
You have to be so careful with your tanks not to let them get picked off by the mutas. And we see bigger and bigger muta balls nowadays as well. So the problem is dealing with that muta list. If you feel confident enough doing that, tank play really is viable. And right now we actually only see a single tank out for Wanty. He's not making any more right now, just investing in his extra barracks, getting his starport up as well, while still moving around with these Hellions and these Reapers, making sure to keep them alive. Very important thing to do, because it gives him so much map control. It allows him to take this third base as early as he has done here. And as he just keeps moving around, I mean, he's just forcing these Greens to move around. He's forcing ninstar to keep active on the map as well, and just get a couple of crypt tumors here. And yeah, I mean, he's just nicely defended at this third base. He's all set up, and 1-1's on the way. He's just set up for the rest of the game now. Armory comes down at perfect timing, not forgetting about it, which is something a lot of Terrans do fall victim to. Delays their upgrades quite substantially. But no, we're in a really good position for Wanty, and that Armory comes on down. He's going to be able to start his 2-2 upgrades. And, I mean, for the Zerg, his 1-1's about finished. He's got a slight upgrade lead. He can go straight into 2-2. His Spire's on the way. He's also in a good position. But I always feel a Terran player who gets off to this good a start is going to look good for the rest of the game, because you know, they're unhindered. And I mean, so is the Zerg, but the Terran, now they can start moving forward and never stopping. I love these cardboard stars on the Marines. That's such really on their shields as well, especially.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a pretty good.
Even the tanks have even the tanks have them on, and the medevacs too. All Terran units have decals on them.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all happy stars.
I'm so dumb. I play Terran, I didn't even know that. I guess it's much more noticeable when they're bright yellow stars, though.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But anyway, this is just coming into a standard game as we can see so far. The macro hatch and the fourth base is now down. Beeling speed has just been started, and so is +1 air attack. Yep, we're waiting to see 2-2 being started. But so far, I definitely think that the Zerg and Turn are on level. I'm waiting to see who's going to start engaging here. The Turn player looks like he is going to push out. Now, if he is going to push out completely on Creeper, I don't think that's the best idea. Even though Beeling speed is not yet done yet.
The thing is, it's so easy to set up a siege right between his third and his opponent's third. And I mean, he's literally moved out. He's actually at his opponent's base already. And with tanks pre-sieged here, he's in a good position. Look at this, already zoning out the mutalisks. He knows where they are. And so already he's moving his Marines in position to zone them out if they try and come forward and kill something off. A few Marines simming forward here, and we're actually going to have a fight flanking from both sides. Is our Zerg player. These mutas come forward and they're actually doing absolutely nothing because they were on move command, and Wanty just demolishes this army. These mutas really needed to target down them tanks a bit faster to lower the damage output, and now Wanty's going to move in here, and without any baiters, these Marines are going to destroy all of these queens, and this third base is in a lot of trouble.
I definitely think he may be able to hold here. This transfer uses are good enough, but there's just too many Marines here. Another step is going to let him kill these off.
Banelands go down. I mean, that's the main thing, because now if he wants to, he just has to pick it up and get out, and then he can reinforce. In fact, his reinforcements already kind of streamed across the map, and just look how effectively he trades anyway. He does actually lose the supply lead he had, but that's mostly because he's not spending his money. And if he spends his money, he's going to be completely fine, but takes down a lot of mutalisks in the fight. The mutas do reset the tank count. I'm trying to think about it. I mean, losing your tank count is kind of sucky, but he's got a second factory up, so he's going to be able to rebuild that a lot faster now.
Yep.
And yeah, all the barracks up. So we actually have a pretty even game right now. 2-2s are coming in for both of these players. Looks as though the Zerg forgot to start his 2-2 for a little while here because he did have that initial upgrade advantage, but now he's lost it a bit. So
right now at this point in time, we still see no infestation pit down for the Zerg player. What this symbolizes is literally he wants to stay on Ling Bane until he does crippling damage, and then he wants to wait out for a long time until he does that ultraless transition. Usually around 18 minutes is when you want to start doing that, because around that's when free usually will be round about nearly done for the Terran player, and that's the point in time when you need to repair, because Ling being muted just does not cut it at that point in time in the game. So I'm interested in what he's going to try and do. I think he's just going to try and kill his opponent with Ling being muted, but I don't think it's going to work.
yeah, so basically Ling Bling Meter is such a good mobile composition, but it's so hard to play with when you're behind. You need to be able, especially when you lose your music count early on, which wasn't completely true, but the problem is he lost a good chunk of them, and now he struggles to kind of get the music count up, which he needs to be able to fly into Marines and engage and pick off tanks and medevacs while being supported by Lings and Banons. So he doesn't have that advantage to start building an infestation pit, and if you don't have that advantage, it becomes very hard as the game goes on, as 3-3 begins to finish up for the Terran player.
That is definitely true, but an engagement does going to go down here. The siege times are sieged up. Decent shots going off on the lines there, but I just don't know really what ninstar can do here. He's still need to get a really good surround on these units.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what he needs to do, in fact, I think, is probably try and pull his Terran player back with his Muse, which is what he's going to try and do here initially, but that's not actually going to happen. I mean, this third base is going down. The other thing he can try and do is obviously try and pick off the tanks with his Muse. Problem is, Wanty is so well spread, he's got so good of an idea of what he wants to do here that these tanks, they're not going to be able to be found just like in the middle of nowhere. And now we're going to have this engagement. Banon's moving forward, but then retreating and just getting blown up by these tanks. Not trading well at all. 30 more Lings about to pop out in the production. And this fight needs to take place sometime soon, but the Muse are still out of position. They're not moving towards the army either. And ninstar, I think he's delayed as long as he can. He has to come in now and go with absolutely everything. But, I mean, his ground army dies before his Mutas get here, and it's just not a well-coordinated attack. And you know, he can move in, he picks off a couple of tanks for a single muta. This is the kind of thing he needs to be doing. But he needs them Lings and Banons there as well, and he's just let them die for nothing. And as it stands, this base goes down, his fourth base isn't really mining, and the 3-3 finishes for the Terran. The Terran has a huge army and just maxes out again here, reinforces, and probably pushes in for a kill, because there's not really that many Banons either. A single tank getting picked off by mutas again, but still, I mean, this just continues, and the trades have been so good for our Terran. He's actually on half the resources lost of his opponent, which is, even for an efficient army, that's not something you see every day.
Definitely not. This Terran player is playing insanely well right now. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's got a great place on the high ground, and this Zerg player is just not going to really do anything. There was a small counter attack
Dropping the main base. Dropping the main base, and with these tanks support, it's going to shut down any units which try and stream in to help out. And, you know, just so much damage done by this drop to the army even. Never even mind the drones which went down before it was dealt with, and at the same time, fourth base is going to go down. Wanty looking as though he's going to be taking the eSuba into 1-0 lead here in the series.
Definitely, just at the end game, it's a two base Zerg against the 3 base Terran. In the turn, it does have another over command just sitting outside, and he's moving this base over. So basically, 4 base Terran against a 2 base Zerg. The Zerg just cannot get enough units out at the moment. He does have a decent bank. He has a 2k mineral bank, but he just does have no gas to be able to follow that up with. Obviously, the mutalists do cost 100 and are quite dear units, and that's why at the start he lost a couple of them. He's going to continue to lose a couple now as the Marines stem forward. He just cannot be affording to do that.
He just knows the game's over. He's going to lose his drones in this fourth base. And Wanty's done such a good job of pulling the Zerg to the left, pulling the Zerg to the right, pulling the Zerg back to the left again. I mean, the only real time Wanty's been caught off guard is when the Mutas killed his fourth command center. But that was because he killed off the Zerg's third base while that happened. And, you know, that's totally acceptable as eSuba take game number 1 and Wanty